Don, yeah, you got it. Is that good?
Good evening. Am I here? We used to call him Maintenance Mickey. But in the 80s, we changed his name to Facilities Mickey. But we didn't change him very much. That was a retirement gift they gave me when I retired. I retired in '01. Seems like 100 years ago, but after that, I was a ride inspector for 15 years all over the world, inspecting roller coasters and rides. I was the first person to pass the California portable ride test after about 50 people passed it, or didn't pass it and failed. So that was nice. There's only one other person that passed that test besides me. But it was like 800 questions. It was ridiculous. I studied blocking, because it's a portable ride test, right? And all the portable rides are on blocking. So how many questions did we have on blocking in the California portable ride test? You guessed it, not one. So anyway, in '79, the first question you're going to ask is, did I ever met Walt? No. Unfortunately, I didn't meet Walt. I didn't start until '79, and he had already passed. But I started in ride control systems. I had always been around fairy tales, and my mother had drawn a fairy tale mural, and it's on fairytalemural.com. We sell it, my sister and I sell it. But it's 85 fairy tales in a big collage. It was 7.5 feet by 12 feet. So it was a pretty big picture. Emily and I brought it down to 24 by 36 so we could sell it. And it got pretty crowded in there, but it's a nice picture. So I was always leaning for fairy tales, and that part of my life was always in the back of my head. Even though I was in aerospace building bombs and missiles at Ford Aerospace. My wife came home one day and said, "John, do you like building bombs and missiles?" And I said, "I'm just there for the money. You know, they pay pretty good." She says, "Go do something you want to do. The kids are gone now." So I had 2 boys. So anyway, I looked around, and believe it or not, Disney was hiring someone to program their dark rides, the PLCs, programmable logic controllers. It's a technical term. Anyway, I guess I'm not shocked. Anyway, I have another speech that I give. It's on control systems that starts in 1910 and goes up through the auto industry and the war and so forth. And I've given that a couple of times. It takes about 2 hours to get through it all, but I enjoy that. But the last time I gave it to a mixed crowd, half the people walked out. So I've got to watch who I give that to. So anyway, '79, I went to Disney to program the dark rides. Why? Because Disney, Walt Disney, I'm getting old. WDI, Walt Disney Enterprises, was doing Florida at the time. They were doing Epcot, and all their programmers were in Florida. So I decided, or they decided, that they wanted to do the dark rides, put a computer on them so they would be safer. They didn't want to wait on WDI to do it. So I started with the Skyway dispatch system, Mr. Toad, Wild Ride, Alice, Snow White. That was all that was there at the time. So within 3 or 4 years, we had changed. They showed up and they redid everything. But anyway, that was how I got started. Disney was kind of picky about what they did in ride control and control systems. And I had always worked in industry, but one guy showed up from Florida and said, "You can't do that you can't do that when moving people around. You could do that, you know, if it was an industrial application or something, but when you're moving people, you can't put in diagnostics, you can't do all that stuff that I was doing." So I had a lot to learn. And they sent me to Florida and they were programming Spaceship Earth for Epcot Center. So I got to be on the tail end of Spaceship Earth. A few years later, I got to be on the Tower of Terror group. And we did Tower of Terror in Florida. Now, the original Tower of Terror was nothing like the crazy elevator ride we got today. So if you want to know what it was really like, I have a YouTube video on. I have actually 43 YouTube videos on. About 10 of them are Disney, the rest of them are electrical. So anyway, it goes into what we did in Tower of Terror and how many people we sent to the hospital. Scared the terror out of them. And we thought that was, you know, the thing to do, but I guess not. So it was fun being in the ground floor of the Disney Control Systems group. And I got to train a group of electrical and sound guys in ride control. And then I went to second shift in, I think it was about 83, to train another group. Well, it turns out they liked me on second shift because there was no leader there, basically. It's just a bunch of guys running around half nuts. So I organized second shift pretty well, and it wasn't long that they gave me a Facilities 1 title, and I was in charge of all the maintenance on second. A few years later, it was called, I guess originally it was Maintenance 1, then Facilities 1, and then the Facilities Duty Manager somewhere in the late 80s. They gave me a master key that just about unlocked everything in the park. So one time I was coming from California Adventure that we were building in the 90s, and one of the ticket takers says, "You can't come through here." I said, "What do you mean I can't come through here? I'm Facilities 1. She says, "I don't care. You have to go through the employee's entrance," which wherever it was. So anyway, I said, "Okay, fine." So I walked around to the gate, and I opened the gate, went through the gate, and unlocked it. So anyway, that key really worked well for me. So half the time I was key service for all the maintenance guys. So I guess I should go. Okay, so we talked about California. Oh, no. How many have been to California? Right, I feel like I'm home. That's great. How about California Adventure? Yeah. Oh, okay. Soar over California? Yeah. Oh, super. I helped develop that one. That's great. I was somewhere in the 90s, my boss came to me and says, "John, we just fired the director of safety." And I said, "Okay." He said, "He really screwed up, so we had to let him go." He says, "You're going to be the new director of safety." I said, "Who's going to do my job?" "Yeah, right." He said, "You're going to do your job." So anyway, I carried both hats for about 3 years. They gave me a green hard hat with a Mickey on it, and I got to chair the safety committee meetings. I got to go to Burbank where they have a round table meeting. There's 52 chairs in a round table. I had my facility name in front of me, my disciplines, electrical, sound, and animation, and I wasn't allowed to talk. Okay, why am I there? Well, I'm there to answer questions if anybody had any questions. So, but we did develop some really nice rides out of that round table. That was fun. Now, just being there was an honor. It was really fun. So anyway, where are we? We are, also, I got to tear out the Disney Skyway. It was something that my boss, there were only 5 managers at the time, and he asked all of us, who wants to tear out the Skyway? Because it didn't pass codes anymore. And I love the Skyway. I put the dispatch system on it, and I took care of it when it broke down and so forth. So I said, well, I'll do it. We got to tear it out on second shift anyway, so I'm going to be there. So anyway, I got to tear the Skyway out, and I filmed it probably a couple hours, and I condensed it down to 45 minutes and put it on YouTube. So it's on YouTube somewhere under John Show. That and Terror. So in Florida, I help with Thunder Mountain and Splash Mountain. But that's all I did in Florida. I was giving a speech on the National Carousel Convention, in the National Carousel Convention in Burbank one year. I got so dry I couldn't speak anymore. About a half hour into it. So I finally got, somebody finally got me some water, and I said, oh man, I'm going to pretend this is a beer, and I drank it. Carousel people are they're really nice people. I'm sure you guys are on the order of carousel people. You're in the right place at the right time. I was one of the original cast members of the Anaheim Breakfast Club. Now, we had a 55er that started with Walt at 55, retired in the 90s. His name was Bob Penfield. When he retired, he started the Anaheim Breakfast Club for maintenance supervisors and managers. When they retire, we could meet once a month and talk about the bad things at Disney. So anyway, I was one of the original cast. Although I wasn't retired yet, I didn't retire at 01, but I got to go to the meetings. And right now, my son has been there 38 years. He's an electrician. He's not in management, but they still let him in. But he goes every month to their meetings, and he lets me know who's still alive, who's. I called Bob today. Bob retired about a year ago and quit going to the meetings. Roberta Brubaker is a supervisor at Disneyland for 44 years, and she's taking over for Bob. Bob was a really nice cast supervisor. I only met him once. He called me over to Carnation Gardens. He says, I got 6 items I need you to fix. And he says, my name is Bob Penfield. He said, I know who you are, Bob. So anyway, I made sure I did a good job and got all his items fixed. And the next day he came in and it was all done, all painted, black and white painted, and the aging grainer and things like that, all that like that. So we became friends. He was only there another week, and then he retired. But then we saw each other in the meeting. So I called him and I asked him if there are any of you, do we have any members that were members of the Anaheim Breakfast Club? And he didn't think we did, so shoot. But anyway, I stayed on second shift for about 17 years, or longer. I was eventually called the facility duty manager on second. 84, we rebuilt all the dark rides, changed them around and added Pinocchio. Okay, Alice had a really, really cute doorknob. You go down the rabbit hole and it says, oh, looking for the white rabbit. Oh, come in and look around. Something like that. So anyway, I love that talking doorknob. It was really, really good. Of course, it was in '84, I think, when we put it in. And it broke down every week. Every week. The Imagineers had built it with an analog device. So I tore it out, the first rehab, the first year, tore it out and made it a digital device. And I don't think it ever broke down after that. But I love that. So that's Alice. Captain EO. 86. Yeah, 86. Do we have a Captain EO here? No. Okay. It was Michael Jackson's Captain EO. It was a 3D theater. Okay. When we first opened it, the carpet was dark, the seats were dark, everything was dark. There wasn't very many work lights. During the day, it was okay because when they loaded everybody, the doors were open. But at night, it was dark out. People were tripping. They were having a hard time. So my boss said, when I came in one day, he says, go over to Captain EO. They're holding a meeting for you at 3 o'clock. And we got to do something to the ride because we got too many accidents. I get over there. And it was dark, the carpets were dark, it was all new for one thing. So he said, we're gonna have to close and put some lighting in here. And I says, why don't you give me one day? Come back this time tomorrow and see if I can make a difference. So they gave me one day. And that night I went down to the transformer in the basement and checked it, it was 120 volts. Bumped it up one tap, and that gave us 142 volts, which is a little high. But I thought, well, that should take care of the lighting problem. So went back up, and they said, oh, I don't know how you got all this light in here, but this is fine. So they accepted it. And I thought, well, in a few months, when the carpet wears out, I'll turn it back. Otherwise, we're going to burn out a bunch of light. So anyway, I'm sitting in my office, and 5 years later, 4 years later, my son was working for Disney at that time on the lamp crew. And he called me and says, Dad, how come the lights are burning out so fast? Captain EO. And I said, oh boy. He said, take me over there. So we went over there and we checked it, 142 volts. So we tapped it back down to 20 because the carpet was light, the seats were light. It was okay. We could do that. So that solved that problem, but we sure burn out a lot of light bulbs. Sorry, Walt, sorry. Anyway, we opened Toontown, 92. Okay. Well, in Toontown, there was and I got to meet a lot of stars when we opened it. It was a private party. Only if you work for Disney, you got to go to it, in the movies. I met so many people, it wasn't funny. But anyway, there was a mailbox in Toontown. You opened the door, the mailbox had only moved like 1/8 of an inch, but it triggered a spiel. And I don't even remember what the spiel was now. So after about 6 or 8 months, a guy came to me and says, can I mail this postcard in the mailbox? I said, no, it's not a real mailbox. He says, oh, okay. So that got to me thinking, maybe other people have mailed in that. We opened the mailbox up, number 32 pieces of mail. I took them to the post office and said, you want to check the postage on this stuff? Some of it's been in here a year. So they charged me, I think, it's either $28 or $38, I don't remember. But anyway, I had to pay the extra postage and get all that stuff mailed out. So we welded it up so it didn't do that. So as a facilities one in Toontown, not Toontown, sorry, Fantasyland, I kind of took ownership of, that area. And I was walking past the teacups one day, and there's a fire plug sitting in the middle of the bushes, the teacups. I thought, what good is a red fire plug? We need purple polka dots on it. We need to make a smile face on it. So anyway, we did that. And of course the fire chief got mad and painted it down. And the paint department painted it down. So the next time I painted it with polka dots, I made sure the paint department didn't touch it after that. So the fire chief went out and bought some spray paint, painted it red. So anyway, I had the union, which they were always filing grievances against me because I was always getting in everybody's face and doing it myself. But anyway, I had to file a grievance against him for painting a fire plug. So, but he got out of that somehow. He quoted some code or something that he haven't read. So anyway, after about a year of fighting with this guy, the vice president brought us in and sat us down. We were both managers, so what the heck. And when I was a duty manager, I had the vice president authority. So as long as I was on duty, he was in trouble. But the vice president had us compromised. I put little bitty polka dots on it and a little smile face. So the last time I had my son checked, my son's still there, he's been there 38 years now. But the last time I had him checked, it's red. Yes, it turned red a week after I left. That brings us to, the abominable snowman. We don't have a Matterhorn here. Okay. So anyway, the Matterhorn, I was reading the rehab reports, and they said they installed an abominable snowman on B-side. Well, okay, whatever that is. So anyway, we opened on Friday night, if we could, from rehab, after it had been down for a couple of weeks, rebuilding. So it was my lot in life to walk the rides, make sure that they were safe and everything was put up and everything was as it should be. So I was walking the Matterhorn, and there's a section of B side that comes around on A side, and you're walking a contour curve, so the cars are actually coming past you as you're going down. It's pretty flat in that area. So I helped design it in 83. I helped design the ride system. I put in all the sensors. I did the dual PLCs, and we did a lot of programming for the van. We were down like 6 months. So I knew every sensor in that building. And I walked up, and there was a ride sensor right in front of me. And I thought, that shouldn't be here. And I looked, there's no brake zone anywhere here. So I thought, I'll flag it. So I flagged it, and nothing happened for about 2 seconds. And then all of a sudden, the biggest roar I ever heard in my life was behind me, the abominable snowman. You could hear that thing all over the park. You could actually hear it all the way to Ball Road. But anyway, the sound was staggering, basically. I turned around and looked. The black lights came on, and this 12-foot abominable, looking crazy person was standing there. And I found myself about 2 feet in the air. So that's the only time I was ever scared of Disney. So anyway, after I settled down a little bit, I flagged it again. I watched the animation. And it was cool, but it's going to scare some people. It really would. Especially me. Of course, my back was turned. I didn't know it was in an alcove, you know, off the side, so I didn't know it was there. So anyway, that brings us to Tinkerbell. Tinkerbell flew from the top of the Matterhorn over to Big Thunder, I don't know, for holidays and special events and so forth. So they decided to make it a permanent thing. If the fireworks went, then Tinkerbell would go and signal the fireworks. So anyway, we built a tower about 35 feet in Big Thunder. We made sure that the ride integrity was kept. And it was a straight ladder up 35 feet. 8-foot square box, no wall. There was no wall on one end. So we got a cart that Tinkerbell could ride in and put some ballast weight on it so it wouldn't come off the track. And we ran it with sandbags and all kinds of stuff. And to make a long story short, the first time she rode, we were up there ready to catch her with pillows and stuff like that. And she came in and stopped 22 feet out. So we had to throw a rope and drag her in. So we loosened the cart up quite a bit. So the next time we had a mattress. I shouldn't tell you where I got this mattress. I went to the hotel and they wouldn't give me a mattress. So I said, well, how about a mattress cover? He said, well, we can give you a mattress cover. Okay, so they gave me a couple of mattress covers. I went to Walt's apartment because I had a key. Pulled the mattress, it was a queen size mattress, pulled it off, put it in a bag, and put that in another bag. We drug it up to Tinkerbell Tower, and we held it because we knew she was going to come in a little hot this time. So we let her go, and she came in like 90 miles an hour. The four guys that were holding the mattress, and they came back and hit me, knocked the wind out of me. She unbuckled herself and says, I quit, I'm not going to do this anymore. She starts climbing down the ladder. I went down the ladder, I said, I'll give you a break. It was the only thing I could think of. She looked up at me and she says, what kind of a break? I said, hell, I don't know what kind of a break, but I'll give you a break. She says, okay, one more time. So it took us about a week to engineer a pretty good break. So, and we strapped the wand, you know, that she waved with. We strapped it, an electric wand. We strapped it to her arm, so her hand was free to grab the brake. Oh. So that was okay. So anyway, with the brake, she learned to operate the brake, and everybody was happy. So we took Walt's mattress back and took off one of the mattress covers, left the one inside on, and made his bed. I had used that a couple of times over the years, but just because I was sick and needed a place to lay down, and I didn't know nobody had a key but me, except for security on it. So anyway, Twin Sister Falls. Has anybody ever seen Twin Sister Falls? Okay, the Big River had a fall. It was a little bit north of Big Thunder, but it was Twin Sister Fall. Big Falls about 25 feet into the Big River. It's kind of set back a little bit. A lot of water. We had 400 horse pumps pumping that, 2 on each side. So anyway, one of the mechanics that was working there one night got bit by a recluse spider. So the vice president closed it out. The vice president called me and he says, I want you to take out 50 feet of dirt straight in and haul it out to the desert, and then we'll bring it in and fill it back up, and then we'll build something else. So I said, okay. So we got down to about 40 feet and it started weeping water from the river. So I thought, that looks like 50 feet to me. So we started putting it back together. I don't think recluse can live 40 feet in dirt anyway. So anyway, we got that done.